somewhere along the line we got screwed up and we made the workout just totally and completely annihilate you. You leave it all in the gym. And the gym, in my opinion, is supposed to most of the time make you feel a lot better rather than make you feel a lot worse.
Understanding that there's no high performance athlete and broken person. Everyone's human. And there's just a spectrum of how hard you make it. So, you know, sledding is sledding. So the principle number one is, are you sledding? And how can you make it heavier? Can you go slower? Can you go faster? The great thing about sledding is it's great for everyone. And there we go. Like, that was a phenomenal event. It was really great just to be down there and show everyone.
Second live event, right?
It was great. It was phenomenal. Yeah. So there we go. ATG Basic number 1 of 8. Sled. Are you sledding? So there's different ways to do it. You know, I think backward sledding's phenomenal. I think the two things is that for older people or broken people, it's a very easy entry point. But also, the truth of the matter is it's phenomenal for big NFL players who actually often their knees are blasted and they can't do a step up. So the entry point is actually to do backward sledding, which is pretty much a step up. So you're getting phenomenal movement in the knees and warming it and blood flow and actually connective tissue in the foot and all kinds of magical things without having to be overly technical. So that's number one. So we sled, 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week.
Very passive movement. My son referred to it as advanced walking, which I thought was really smart. But, you know, like a lot of other movements that you go to do in the gym, they really accumulate, and they don't always accumulate in such a great way. Like if you have a banged up knee and you go and do a bunch of leg extensions, leg presses, you might have kind of caused more harm than good, but we have this mindset of like, I got to tough it out. It's legs day and I got to go do this. Meanwhile, if you pull the sled, you can hurt yourself doing anything. I should say that. Yeah. But meanwhile, if you pull the sled, it might be more restorative, especially if you do it kind of calmly, if you're in a state where your knee is banged up.
Exactly.
I mean, I've had my knee in tremendous amounts of pain, and there was points where I couldn't drag the sled backwards. My knee was so jacked up, but I could pull it forward. Yep. And I can get some sort of work, get some blood flow in that area. So
absolutely.
I think it's incredible, and it allows you to get in a lot of reps and allows you to get in a lot of great work without any damage.
Yeah, and that's the magic of it, and it's why it's number one, because if that's all, and we talked about this, if it's even the only thing you do, magic, win. I think what was so great is seeing you coach Oscar is you gave him a win. And I think training has to be about that more than it has to be about bleeding the athlete or bleeding the client.
He was hyped up. Yeah. And then I talked to him about deadlifting maybe in the next session. And then he picked up the trap bar for a second and was like, oh yeah, I could do this next time. And he certainly had a lot more energy. But I think that's the way, somewhere along the line we got screwed up and we made the workout just totally and completely annihilate you. You leave it all in the gym. And the gym, in my opinion, is supposed to most of the time make you feel a lot better rather than make you feel a lot worse.
Absolutely. I think it's a great lesson that I learned from a bunch of great coaches is, it's success leaves clues. If multiple people say it, it's great. It's minimum necessary dose. Minimum necessary dose is key. And I think sometimes people think maximal dose and it's a nuclear bomb and they try to annihilate people. But minimum necessary dose means you can come back and fight another day. And I think that's a magical thing. So sled's a magical thing with that. And you can then up it and you can go faster and you can put more weight on it. You can really work. You don't have to start there. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's one of those things that's the Ben Patrick special, but Charles also taught me this, and I've done it for years. I had a tear in my right knee and I have a tear in my left knee, but split squats are magical. So are you working towards perfecting the split squat?
Why are they so magical?
I think, the video we put out, it could very well be the greatest stretch, strengthen exercise there is for your lower body. So it helps the ankle, the knee, there it is. Like in some fantastic, that's Michelle, she has it. And Marcel and Isaac, they have phenomenal split squats.
You're hitting 3 different joints at a time, but per leg. So you're hitting 6 joints because let's not forget about that back knee. Anyone that has a wonky knee may have noticed that when they try like a lunge, sometimes the back knee is the one that actually hurts.
Exactly.
And if you look at the positioning of the knees over toes, your knee is way over your toe in an ATG split squat, with the back leg even more so than the front leg.
Have you guys started selling those buddies, by the way, yet?
They're coming out. I actually brought my pair here so we can mess with them. They're phenomenal. It's one of those brilliant things that he's really, Ben's brilliant. And that solution for people's heels, for traveling, for squatting, for step ups, for split squats, I love it. And I think that's the thing is like, as you work on better dorsiflexion, that ability to wedge that in, it's a phenomenal tool. It's great. They're going to see, it'll sell out. And but it's a great tool.
Power Project family, how's it going? I want to talk to you guys about Within You supplements, which is developed by Mark Bell. The cool thing about Within You is that it's not a crazy supplement line which has a crazy amount of unnecessary supplements. They stick to what is necessary. Whey protein, electrolytes, and the electrolytes are dope because they have amino acids and they have zinc. Then there's fasting gum. So we talk a lot about intermittent fasting on the podcast, and this fasting gum has apigenin, rutin, and caffeine, which can actually help you prolong a fast. It's really freaking cool. It was developed by Mark and Joel Green, who we've had on the podcast multiple times. So you guys got to check it out. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at markbellslingshot.com. And at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject10 to save 10% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
Yeah, I love them.
Can you talk a little bit more about? Can you talk a little bit more about like that? Why you think it's such a good stretch? Because I think there's a lot of utility in
Absolutely.
Like that knee being real open like that, right?
Yeah. So what's great about it is that you're driving the front knee forward and you're getting more dorsiflexion in the ankle. So there's a lot of data about how the better you dorsiflex in any sport, the better you can dorsiflex, which is, your toe, your calf's flexibility, the lower your chances of lower body injury.
But are you getting a good dorsiflexion?
Oh, yes,
with
absolutely. Even with the heel, yes.
Even with the thing doing some of the work for you, kind of slanting.
Yes. Well, it's just that you're stable on it. It really doesn't move.
Okay.
So again, like it's not to say that a flat foot split squat isn't the best, but it's that you can do that in that. And Ben's idea of that was to say, actually, like he got really good, and his split squat is absolutely perfect.
It's fucking perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got there with a weightlifting shoe. So he thought about it. He's like, wait a minute, not everyone has a weightlifting shoe which already has an elevation. Mm-hmm. So why not have this wedge to have it for people who don't have it? And you can also squat on it and elevate it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I think the thing is, I would say you can get that magical benefit of driving the knee as far forward as you can without the ankle inhibiting that progress as you work towards getting better dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion takes so much time. There's so many there's so much in the, you have the barefoot sprinter who's awesome, like Graham. There's so much stuff going on in the feet. There's 4 layers of muscle in the foot. There's so many, the Achilles tendon is really tight. Some people are really genetically tight. There's all kinds of stuff. So as you work towards better dorsiflexion, why not get the benefit of a heel elevation, both in your squat and your split squat? And I think that's a great solution. So that's, you open up the hip, the knee, the ankle. It's great. Your glutes work, your hamstrings are working in the bottom position. It's really fantastic exercise. So, and the thing is, I would say, Mark and I were talking about this, is that a lot of times people see, and because Ben has blown up so much, I guess in some ways my job is to articulate the nuance of it, which is there's the split squat and people see it and say, body weight only. No, use load when appropriate. And I think we were talking about the philosophical divide of a lot of people, and you can just say agree to disagree, is we're in the school of thought of things range of motion before strength. Mm-hmm. And other people think the other way around, and that's totally fine. It's, back to theory. If it sticks, use that one. If it doesn't stick, use a different one.
Maybe put a priority on whatever's not addressed.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like we're talking about for some people that are like mobile, we'll make them stronger in certain positions. Like it's great. So we believe in loading it. And I think and I think we were talking about this earlier, Mark, is relatively in different, more compromised positions spinally. For example, we're talking about, rounded back good mornings or deadlifts. You were doing it with 500 pounds, and someone can say, that's astronomical, that's too heavy. But too heavy for who? You're squatting 1,000, your rounded back deadlift is like 500 is nothing. You do that for reps for cardio. Mm-hmm. So it's all relative. So when someone says, okay, well, what's the number? Okay, well, am I putting 450 pounds on someone's back for a split squat? No. But if they can split squat 450, if they can back squat 450 perfectly, then maybe a 200-pound good split squat is actually totally fine. So there's some numbers that we're talking about, 75% of body weight we're playing with. That's something that I think people get really good results from an elasticity and a mobility and a strength point of view, where it's the combo of them all, but we're not putting 500 pounds on. And I would say I probably wouldn't do less than 5 reps on a split squat. So it's not something that it's like, yay, 1 rep max. There's the joke. It's like the guy doing a 1 rep max rotator cuff. It's like, no, you don't need that. That's not, it's,
What
it's
I do find interesting though, is one of the things that Poliquin did that was quite different than a lot of other coaches is he would take rotator cuff movements and he would train them heavy.
Yeah.
And they weren't for 1 rep maxes.
No.
But, and I think you're seeing Ben do some of that as well. And you were mentioning that he has guys that are squatting 400 or 500 pounds with chains on the bar, and they're putting their butt on the ground. He just doesn't show all that stuff all the time.
So Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.